Y'all know anything about those fuzzy dice baits? I do. Did a lot of research on the internet, couldn't find a whole lot. There's not a lot of good videos out there, if any. There are not any comprehensive dice bait videos of rigging, how to work it, so on and so forth. Best combo to throw it on. But I kind of went down the dice bait rabbit hole. I've caught some good fish on it. So I'll show you the best ways that I've found to rig the Strike King Tumbleweed, the OSP Secure Dice, and the G-Crack Q-Bomb. I've got homemade dice that I made for a bigger profile, and I think there's another offshoot type of dice that I've got in the box. I wasn't crazy about that one, but stay tuned. All about the dice baits today, fuzzy dice. Nice one on the dice. Didn't take long. That one's on the OSP. Nice spot. Probably 2 pounds. So the setup for the dice is basically what I use is a hair jig rod. So this is a Tatula 7.6. It's called a universal long cast, but it's like a hair jig Nico rod. These things are light, and even when you add a weight to it, it will only hold about 1/32 ounce weight if you're using tungsten. It'll hold a lead one too, but it tears the bait up. These OSPs are really soft, so I use tungsten in the OSP, but I use a pretty short leader on this because you need to see your line. Like, I've got white Berkley X9 on here, 8-pound test, but a lot of the time the strike is visual. Like, you'll see your line jump and then you just reel into it because the bait is so light. And I use a short leader because it's extremely difficult to cast even with a longer rod. But if you can keep your FG knot or whatever kind of knot you tie out of your reel, you'll be able to cast it a lot easier like that. I mean, that's a nice long cast for a dice bait. But that's a 3000 Shimano, so it's Berkley X9 8-pound braid. That's white or whatever Berkley calls their crystal or white or something like that. I've got an 8-pound leader because you're usually throwing this around docks or wood or some kind of cover. Today I'm on a bluff. There's a lot of fish up and down this bluff. But it's a 3000 series Shimano. But a long rod helps a lot with this bait. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when you try to show it. If you don't have a long rod, you can use a shorter rod, but you're not going to get as much distance. But you do need something with a light tip, like a medium light or a light tip rod. And you can, to get extra distance, if you don't want to buy another rod, you can, go with 6-pound test, but then you're kind of playing with fire. But that's kind of ideal what you need, like basically a hair jig or a Nico rig setup for the dice, and it'll make life easier when you're throwing these baits. And they do get bit, so it's not a scam. It's not made for just catching fishermen. I catch a lot of fish on these. So get the right setup and it'll make your life a lot easier if you're trying to go down the dice bait rabbit hole. Nice one. Nice largemouth on the OSP. Looking kind of malnourished. 14, 15-inch bass. That fish was set up over here above this brush. It's actually just a lay down. And it looks like there's some more over there, so we'll see if we can get another one out of them. So, as everyone knows, this bait is famous for being used on the scope. The Japanese anglers brought this thing to light. If you read the description on the OSP, or do a little bit of research, this is a sight fishing bait. So, I mean, when you're scoping, you are sight fishing, so it makes a lot of sense. As far as on the range, I'm usually going pretty slow down the bank. I've got my trolling motor on 3 or 4 here, but when you lower your range and your depth on your forward-facing sonar, you're basically you're just zooming in on the picture. So what you want to do is basically see about how far you can cast your dice. That was 60 feet there. So if you can make a 60-foot cast with your dice, just go about 10 feet past that, you know, 70, or I'm set on 80 because I can actually cast this to about 80 feet if I really wing it. But keep it on about 80. Unlike when you're running a minnow, you're going to be further out because you're on high on your trolling motor, trying to cover as much water as possible with the minnow. This is very finesse. It's kind of like, it's actually quite similar to bed fishing. So, and on the depth, I'm on the side of a bluff here, so I'm at 30. If you're, if you're on, flatter contours, you can go shallower, but it zooms in, and this is not a big bait, so it makes it show up better on your forward-facing sonar if you bring your range down to like 80 feet or 70 feet or something like that. And I've got my contrast plus 11. This is active target, but that would be a gain adjustment on Garmin, and that's basically all you need to do. I've got noise rejection on low here. That doesn't do a whole lot on the Lowrance, but this is mainly a shallow technique, 15 foot or less. You can use it deeper, it just takes forever and it kills a lot of time. But zoom in on your screen so you can see your bait. We'll cast this out here. You can see there at 30, shows up really nice on 80 foot forward range, 30 down, and A+11 contrast on a sunny day. It's really bright out here. So give that a try, that should work for you. Oh, we got a fish coming up, trying to eat us here. Looks like small ones. But yeah, that's about all you have to do. You can adjust, if you're in shallow water and you want a bigger picture, just zoom in, go down to 15, 10, 15, 20, on your depth, and you can keep it pretty close here because you're making short casts and you're going slow on your trolling motor. That's a good one. Oh man, it's a real one right there on the dice. It's on the tumbleweed. This big spot. All right guys, so we're going to go through rigging for the G-Crack Q-Bomb, the OSP dice, and the Strike King tumbleweed. For hooks, I like to either use the Ryogi Talisman in a size 2 for the standard 1/2 inch size, and I'll go up to a number 1 of the Talisman on the Q-Bomb just because it's got a little bit more mass. And as an alternative, I use the Owner Sniper Finesse a good bit. It's a solid hook. If you can't get these are not always readily available. For the weight, I usually go with a tungsten 1/32 ounce Bass Pro Shops nail weight, readily available, pretty cheap. I'll use lead in the G-Crack. It's got a little bit more real estate to insert the weight, so that works well with that, and it's cheaper. And that's about all you need, and some super glue. I'll show you that here in a second. All right, so we're going to start off with the OSP dice, and the first thing you want to do is insert your nail weight into the center of the bottom of the dice. It's wider on one end, so that's the end you want to insert your weight in. I'm going to take a little bit of super glue, just a really small amount, and put it on the tip of that. We're going to insert it between the tentacles on the bottom of the bait here, and that will keep your weight in there for the life of the bait. If you don't glue them though, they will come out, so this will save you a lot of headache. Not something I've seen in other videos, so that's an important step I like to take for rigging the dice. Just bring it out till you see the tip kind of pop out the other side there, and get one of those barbs on the other side, and that'll hold it in place well. As you can see, the weight basically disappears once you get it in there in the right spot. And there are a lot of suggestions of using centering pins to make the bait last longer. I don't like that. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it sinks. I like to use a bare hook and just come down next to your nail weight on one side of the bait, and then just pop out on the other end. So it's on there kind of like a jig head, but you still got most of the bite of your hook, and you're pretty well in the bait. And when you hook a fish, it's going to send the bait up the line. That's what you want. And it will tear after a while, but you have 3 other sides of the bait that you can insert the hook in, so you can get plenty of life out of a bait by inserting the hook this way. And I get more bites like this, or in my mind I do. So that's the OSP 0.5-inch Sakura dice. Alright guys, up next we've got the Strike King Tumbleweed. This is probably the one that most of you are familiar with because it's readily available. And it's quite a bit less expensive than the OSP. However, I do get more bites on the OSP for whatever reason. But this will get you some bites. Same basic setup. You're going to take your nail weight, a little bit of glue on it, and there's a Strike King symbol with no appendages on either side of the bait. You want to go in through the center on one side and try to come out the center of the other side, just like that. So a little bit more of an Elastec type material, so you do want to try to get that barb to pop out the other side. But as you can see, the weight is basically invisible when you insert it like that. With the glue, the weight will last the life of the bait. You can save your weight sometimes if you get the appendages all tore up and you decide that it's time to get a new one, or you've got too many tears in the body. But on this one, I like to pick one of the points next to the nail weight, go through there, and come out at the opposing point on the bottom of the bait next to the nail weight, just like that. And I'm going to put it in the same spot that I put it for the OSP. So you're going to have a lot of gap left in your hook, and it's going to blend in really well. Your hook is going to be completely hidden by these appendages. Unlike with the centering pin, your hook is going to always be sitting on top of the bait. And like on the OSP, when you hook a fish, this bait's going to slide up the line. And you can reuse that hook point a few times. When it gets torn, rotate it and continue the process. But that's basically it for the Strike King Tumbleweed Nico rig. Alright guys, here we have the G-Crack Q-Bomb. It has its place. I know it's ugly, but it has its place. Lead 1/32 ounce weight. Gonna add some glue to that. And if you look at the bottom of the bait here, there's a mold mark from where the bait's poured. Just want to go in through that mold mark and bring your weight somewhere in proximity with this little tip that's in the poured part of the bait, and basically just come up through the center just like the other baits. And I came out the side a little bit on that one, but that's okay. And that is your rigged Q-Bomb. On this one, I use a size 1 talisman or sniper finesse. And with this bait, it's important to come out towards the edge of the ball, because if you get in here too far, like this, it's going to fill up too much of your hook. So, and this is a tough material, so it's safe to do this. Like, you're not going to throw your bait off, but just come out here a little closer to the edge on this one. Kind of come out in the same spot on the bottom of the ball, kind of parallel to your weight like before. And that's all you got to do to rig the Q-Bomb. And in some instances, depending on what I'm fishing for or the water clarity, I trim these appendages on the Q-Bomb. This is a bait I've been throwing with trimmed appendages. And as you can see, side by side, it's just got a little bit smaller of a profile. I do this because there are a lot of spotted bass and smallmouth in my lake, so I kind of want an in-between size for largemouth, or, you know, stained water as opposed to heavily stained water. Basically, you apply the same strategy that you use on other lures to these. I'm going to hook this one back up because I've been catching some fish on this one. And this bait's got some more mass to it, so you can cast it on about any medium action or medium light rod will work for you. But that is rigging on the G-Crack Q-Bomb. That's the 1-inch size. Obviously, if you go up to the larger sizes in either of these baits, increase the size of your hook accordingly. And if you need a faster rate of fall, this bait can hold more weight than a 1/32. 1/32 is probably the max on the standard size tumbleweed and Secura dice. But that's about it for rigging, guys. Hope this helps. If there's anything else you'd like to see, any more questions on the dice baits, I might do another video about using it on a drop shot. But if you have any rigging tips or stories, let me know. Are these baits working for you? I've done fairly well on them. Drop a comment below and let me know what you got. Thanks for watching. One bit. Let it go. Feel. Oh, that's. Well, this is big, whatever it is. On the keep on the big bass.